Hello medicos, welcome to the channel. Can you imagine losing control over your own body, where every movement becomes a challenge? At the heart of movement control lies the basal ganglia, a group of structures that silently orchestrate every step you take, every motion you make. Today, we're going to learn about the basal ganglia in a simple and easy way. This complex part of the brain controls how we move, but don't worry, we'll break it down step by step to make it crystal clear. The basal ganglia stand out as a critical conductor, ensuring our movements are smooth, coordinated, and purposeful. The basal ganglia, a group of interconnected nuclei nestled deep within the brain, play a pivotal role in movement. Hidden beneath the wrinkled surface of the cerebral cortex lies a collection of ancient brain structures known as the basal ganglia. These structures, often compared to a complex circuit board, are essential for regulating and refining our voluntary movements. The basal ganglia ensure that our movements are initiated at the right time with the appropriate force and accuracy. Without the basal ganglia, our movements would be jerky, uncoordinated, and even impossible to perform. The basal ganglia receive a constant stream of information from various parts of the brain, including the cerebral cortex, the outermost layer responsible for higher-level thinking and planning. This information is then processed and integrated within the basal ganglia's intricate circuitry, ultimately influencing the signals sent back to the motor cortex, the brain region responsible for executing movements. The basal ganglia act as a gatekeeper, modulating the flow of motor commands and ensuring that only the most refined and appropriate signals reach their destination. If you're finding this content valuable, make sure to hit that subscribe button now and turn on notifications. By subscribing, you'll get instant access to the latest updates, plus you'll help us continue creating content that's both informative and engaging. The basal ganglia are not a single entity but rather a collection of interconnected nuclei, each with its own unique role to play. Among these, the striatum, globus pallidus, subthalamic nucleus, and substantia nigra stand out as key players. The striatum, the largest structure within the basal ganglia, serves as the primary input nucleus, receiving information from the cerebral cortex and other brain regions. The globus pallidus, divided into internal and external segments, acts as the main output nucleus, sending processed information back to the thalamus, a relay station that ultimately influences activity in the motor cortex. The subthalamic nucleus, a small but mighty structure, plays a crucial role in modulating the activity of the globus pallidus, influencing the overall output of the basal ganglia. Finally, the substantia nigra, named for its dark pigmentation, provides crucial dopaminergic input to the striatum, influencing the balance between different movement pathways. The basal ganglia do not simply relay information from input to output. Instead, they possess two main pathways, the direct and indirect pathways, which exert opposing influences on movement. The direct pathway, as its name suggests, provides a direct route for information to flow from the striatum to the output nuclei of the basal ganglia. Activation of the direct pathway facilitates movement. In contrast, the indirect pathway takes a more circuitous route involving connections with the subthalamic nucleus and external globus pallidus. Activation of the indirect pathway inhibits movement. Dopamine, a neurotransmitter often associated with pleasure and reward, plays a crucial role in regulating the balance between the direct and indirect pathways of the basal ganglia. Produced by neurons in the substantia nigra, dopamine acts as a molecular switch, tipping the scales in favor of either movement or inhibition. Dopamine exerts its influence by binding to different dopamine receptors located on neurons within the striatum. Binding to one type of receptor, known as D1 receptors, excites neurons in the direct pathway, promoting movement. Conversely, binding to another type of receptor, known as D2 receptors, inhibits neurons in the indirect pathway, further facilitating movement. Thus, dopamine acts as a master regulator, orchestrating the delicate balance between the direct and indirect pathways to ensure smooth, coordinated movements. While the basal ganglia are best known for their role in motor control, their influence extends far beyond the realm of movement. Emerging research suggests that the basal ganglia are involved in a wide range of cognitive functions, including learning, memory, and decision-making. The basal ganglia's intricate circuitry, once thought to be solely dedicated to motor control, is now recognized as a crucial component of broader brain networks involved in higher-order cognitive processes. Studies have linked basal ganglia activity to reward-based learning, habit formation, and even emotional processing. This expanded view of the basal ganglia's role highlights their importance in shaping not only our movements but also our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. The basal ganglia, once considered a mysterious and enigmatic part of the brain, are gradually revealing their secrets thanks to the tireless efforts of neuroscientists around the world. As our understanding of these intricate structures deepens, so too does our appreciation for the complexity and elegance of the brain's motor control system. The journey to unraveling the mysteries of the basal ganglia is far from over. Ongoing research continues to shed light on the molecular mechanisms, neural circuits, and functional roles of these fascinating structures. With each new discovery, we gain a deeper appreciation for the symphony of activity that allows us to move with grace, precision, and purpose, reminding us of the extraordinary capabilities of the human brain.